You're watching Under Construction, presented by Coldwell Banker, when experience matters. Sponsored by America's Home Place. Make your dream home a reality. John's Gifts and Furniture, decorating homes in the Tri-County area for over 40 years. Wayne's Roofing, for all your roofing needs.
Welcome to Under Construction, our third edition. Very proud of the show and proud of the response that we're getting. We have another special guest today. We have Adrienne Copeland. Many of you will recognize Adrienne. Hey, Adrienne.
Hey, how y'all doing?
So nice to have you on the show.
Thank you.
And Adrienne is the president of Historic Preservation Rocky Mount. So we're going to learn a lot today about historic preservation. But first of all, what is historic preservation?
Well, that's a good question. Most people don't realize what that is. In a nutshell, it's saving all the old houses, saving all the old buildings, and so it's really, it's expanded. It's more than that. Historic preservation can be about tribal lands. Mm-hmm. It can be about historic figures like George Washington slept here. It can be about settings and landscapes like a Civil War battlefield. But most of the time, we're talking about architecture that is older than about 50 years old. Mm-hmm. And so it's about saving that for posterity. Yeah. So that you still have that in your life because you don't want to lose the history. You don't want to lose the story of our past.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Why is it important?
So it is because, and like I said, the vast time, a majority of it is we're talking about architecture, saving these beautiful old buildings. And why? Yes. Well, architecture is an art. If you look in the library under the 700 section, that's where architecture is. That's fine and decorative arts. And so we don't think about that. But all older buildings were built for beauty and proportion. It was to enrich our lives. That's what architecture was, is to make things beautiful. It's like when you watch a play, the setting is everything. It's the mood, it's psychology. So like in our lives, we want our setting to be beautiful.
Yes, absolutely.
It's why we care about the curb appeal of our home. It's why we choose this fashion versus that fashion. Why we like to adorn ourselves with watches and certain shoes. We want to make our lives beautiful because that's an art form. It's all of those joy and peace and happiness that we bring to our lives.
And that's very true.
It
very
is
true.
And so the issue now is that modern architecture has sort of lost that beauty aspect of it. It's about, structural possibilities and cost effectiveness. It's lost the beautiful form of it. And so, you can have new buildings that are just sort of soulless boxes,
Yes, absolutely.
That's what you see now. And so we need to preserve what we used to have, what was there, that beauty, because you don't realize it until it's gone.
Well, you don't see, oh my gosh, some of the houses that I see are they make you feel so good. I love old houses. And you just, you don't see houses like that anymore. They are no more.
There's no more. There's
so why tear them down?
Yeah, and people talk about cost, right?
Yes.
There's a guy, Eddie Belk. He's an architect with Belk Architecture out of Durham. He has a great quote, and he says, "Yes, you can build that house what he calls it, a sheetrock box, with a 20-year lifespan for cheaper, but you can't build that stately old home cheaper, and you can never get it back.
Integrity of the architecture.
You can never build it back. And once that stately old row of old houses is gone for a parking lot, our drive down that road has a little less joy.
Yes.
Every single day.
Yes.
And we're losing all of this art that was there. That was
absolutely.
Us. So it really affects our day-to-day lives that we don't realize until it's gone.
I don't think we think of it as art. And I'm glad you bring that up because I don't know that we think of it all the time as art.
But it's true. I mean, it's classified as a decorative art.
Right.
It is. Interior design is an art. It's art form. And why do we care about art? There's no discussion there. We love it. We need it in our lives. We want to make things beautiful.
Exactly. Exactly. Can we talk about past, current, and upcoming projects? Can we look at?
Oh, sure.
some
Okay,
pictures?
sure.
Love
Yeah.
that.
So some
I
historic
think we
preservation
have a
projects.
picture.
Yes.
Of the one of the past houses that
yes.
you sent.
So downtown, it's 154 and 152 Southwest Main Street. We call it the Monique Brown Building because she's the one who moved her business into there.
Yes.
This is back in 2002. And the before picture on the left, it looked way worse than that. I just couldn't find one from way before. But all those windows, those beautiful windows were gone. They had been bricked over. There was nothing there. So we collaborated with Downtown Renaissance to get that demi-lune window put back.
Oh, that window makes all the difference in the world in that building.
All the difference. It's really, yes. So can you imagine if it was just facaded over or bricked over completely, all that gone? And what does that do to the whole streetscape?
Exactly.
You know? So that's a unique thing. So we're really excited that we were able to do that. And in fixing up that building, it's economic revitalization because now there's a beautiful building downtown that you can't build anymore because it's too expensive. And so a local business has gone in there and stayed in there. That's downtown revitalization.
Absolutely.
It's great. Yeah. So, currently, so you thought project, what we've got going on is, if you've noticed, we all know Rocky Mount was built on tobacco. Right.
Yes,
that was one of the things that built this town. And there's not hardly any tobacco warehouses left.
Look at that.
Most of them. This is a warehouse that we are fixing up. This is 600.
Where is that?
It's 600 North Vine Street. It's up in the northern section of Happy Hill.
Okay.
Right where Harris Street, Vine Street, where they all kind of end up at Carter Street. So it was in a sad state of disrepair, but this was part of Fenner's Warehouse Company. It's a storage warehouse, and it's about to the point where it was going to fall down. So right now, we are working to take in donations, slowly saving this relic, this artifact of Rocky Mount history is tobacco.
Wow.
It's 20,000 square feet. It is really, really cool inside because it's all this old wood framing.
Wow.
And you go inside, y'all, and you can still smell the tobacco. It is so neat. It is so neat.
Yeah. I'm just going to have to venture out and go in there.
Yeah. So we're as soon as we get it done and we feel like, we do have some volunteer cleanup days where people go in and help us clean up and help us fix it up.
Okay.
But when it's all done, we're definitely going to have some sort of a meeting or, meet and greet, come out and check out what we've done.
And you can take some home tours, house tours. Can you
Yes, we do. So that's sort of what we started, and it's going to be our next focus is really, because we used to do that years ago, but really bringing back the house tours. We did one in Edgemont about 2 months ago. Huge success because it's sort of shifted, right? A lot, when you think of a house tour, you think of a complete museum. It's all beautiful and it's all done. But what we want to highlight is the need in Rocky Mount. And so a lot of these are still under construction.
Okay.
And so it highlights this, someone bought this house. They're still working on it, or they're living in it and working on it. But this is the state of Rocky Mount. But what we highlight is what you don't see. When you're driving by, you miss because maybe there's blight. Maybe things are broken and in disrepair.
Right.
So we show tours of houses where, look how beautiful this is. You'll never get this. But if you get rid of the dirt and the grime and the neglect, it's still there, and that's what needs to be saved. So we're going to have one coming up, another one in Edgemont in August. And then in September, we're actually going to be doing 4 at a time, which are all my personal houses that I'm working on. And they're all going to be in a state of like, this is when you first get it. It's scary. There's been a fire.
Right.
And then this is a little bit of work. And then here's one almost complete. And then we'll tour my house that I live in and look what I've done. And they all looked this terrible. So that's what we're trying. That's what our future projects. And so if you have a house that in any state of repair, let us know if you want us to have a tour in there. Yeah.
So that's I'm gonna have
so
to
this
get
picture
in on
here.
that.
Yeah.
Look
This
at
was
that.
okay. So this is a good picture. This is actually in my house. That's on on the rooftop windows there. They're in the little gable. You see the top pictures will look like before, but you can't tell that the bottom rail of those windows is completely rotted out.
Wow.
All right, in the middle section. So when someone tells you that something's too far gone in these old houses and you have to replace it, no, you don't. I went and took a class and learned how to rebuild windows and rebuilt that thing.
Aren't you smart?
And then in the middle where there was the fan, it was already gone. So, well, it's already gone, tore out. Nope, I rebuilt that when I use the math, extrapolated, and rebuilt.
It looks so
that
good.
window. So
Love
that's
those
how much. And
windows.
can you imagine if I just how even from when somebody took out the middle window, but the fan, how much worse it looked.
Right.
So you really can fix up, and that's classically historic preservation. It's
Wow.
not replacing windows. I know a lot of us think that that's what we're doing to save a house, an old house, but that's the absolute wrong thing to do. And I'm guilty of it as well. My first house in my early 20s, I replaced all the windows and I immediately hated it. And I didn't know why. I really didn't understand, like, why don't I like this as much?
Right.
So that's old architecture because it was built, like I said, on beauty and proportion. The proportions in new materials are gone. They aren't there anymore. It's just, so that's why when you look at door casings and trim on new houses versus the old stately mansions, something's not right.
Right.
And you say, I put in a new door. Why doesn't it look like this old one? It's all these old proportions, and they're made from the classical Greek orders. So if you look at those old temples, like the Parthenon, the Pantheon, all of them were built on mathematical proportions in relation to each other. And so we've lost that, but that's why they're beautiful. We've heard of like the golden section, golden rectangle. It's what's pleasing to the eye. That's what it's built on.
This is exciting. It's really, and you're excited about it, and that's what really sells this idea and the historic preservation projects here in town. Your excitement and your passion, Adrienne, for it, you just exude that. So,
well, it's like I can't help
I want to get involved now.
It's so exciting. It can be so fun to see, especially when you figure out. Like for me, it was figuring out, that's what it is. That's what I'm missing, and you'll say, most exterior windows do not need that 3-inch casing. They need at least 5 to 6 inches in width, but you can't find that at Lowe's. You can't find that at Home Depot. They don't sell it. It's not made. It's not cost effective. But if you want to look right, you need that investment. You either have to have it made or you can go and find it at a salvage store.
Good advice. And because I can imagine walking into Lowe's and asking them anything about historic preservation.
I tried and they don't. I said, do you have an intact entablature? And they said, a what? And I'm like,
what?
Okay. Well, that's the name. When you have a door surround your front door, you have the casing that goes up.
Yes.
And then you have the entablature that goes across. That's called a classical entablature. And it's supposed to be proportionate to your size of a door. All of these things, that's the science involved in historic preservation and what these materials were built, how they were designed years ago. That's what we've lost.
Yes.
So you can take that same math and you can apply it and say, well, I just want to build a new house, but I want it to look good. That's what you can do. Build your house proportionately, not just what everybody does or this is what we have in stock. That's where, and you need to find an architect who understands classical architecture. Most of them, when they're taught, they aren't taught that at all. In architectural schools, they aren't taught about the classical orders. They're taught about how to build a curtain wall for a skyscraper. And it's about the performance test of building materials. That's what it is. But so they've lost this design and most of them don't even understand. So you've got to go to all these old books.
Yes.
You got to learn. You got to teach yourself how to do this and find the old masters, find the old grandpas that knew how to do this before they die. Because it's lost knowledge.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because, as our older generations die off who used to do this, who used to repair things, they're not around anymore. They're not going to be around to tell you how to fix this. How is it done? Why is this here? So that's, maybe
When did you get, and this is a little bit off topic, but that's okay. I think people need a background on you. So when did you get involved interested? When did you get interested? When did you know you were interested in this kind of thing?
I always knew I liked older stuff because I thought it was prettier, and like I said, I didn't understand why.
Okay.
And it wasn't until I had moved into a house and it was built in the 1930s and I was trying to figure out what's going on with this. Why? And I stumbled across some websites that were explaining, wood windows and your trim and your door and why it looks bad like this and why these older houses look good. And I was like, that's it. That's what I just started teaching myself because I couldn't find information anywhere. There are school programs for historic preservation, like degrees, but I was like, I don't have $30,000 a year to spend on this.
Right.
So I just went and every book I could find. And this was
Wow.
this was only in like maybe 2009, 2010 that I started teaching myself.
Interesting.
And here's if you don't have to spend a lot of money. Everything's on Amazon. I would go and look up course programs for schools that taught this, and I would just download their book selection for the course and just buy them myself.
Wow.
And I would just learn it. So one other cool thing that we've done with Preservation Rocky Mount is if you go on our website, it'll pop up a DIY resource guide you can get for free. And it's every book you'd ever want to read.
Wow.
All of it, we've compiled down into a list, everything, websites to look for, resources at the state and federal level. It's everything to get you started. These are on design.
Do it yourself.
Because you really, there's not going to be anybody, like I said, who's in modern construction or working at a hardware store, unless they're over 60 years old. They're probably not going to even remember living in a house like that.
Exactly. Okay, we've got to take a break here on Under Construction. We want to thank Coldwell Banker so much for sponsoring, being the presenting sponsor of our program here, and thank all the other sponsors as well. We'll be right back with you. Watch our sponsors.
You're watching Under Construction, presented by Coldwell Banker, when experience matters. Sponsored by America's Home Place. Make your dream home a reality. John's Gifts and Furniture, decorating homes in the Tri-County area for over 40 years. Wayne's Roofing, for all your roofing needs.
At America's Home Place, we believe your perfect home isn't found, it's built. With over 50 years of experience, we offer a variety of custom home styles to fit your needs. Built on your land. Our customers love the wide variety of options and the smooth, hassle-free experience. Your never-ending search for the perfect home ends with America's Home Place. Reach out to your local building center to get started with building your dream home today. America's Home Place, your custom home builder.
John's Gifts and Furniture has been decorating homes in the Tri-County area for over 40 years. We have everything you need, from sofas and recliners to outdoor polywood furniture. You will also find an elegant selection of lamps, framed art, and area rugs. Ask about our tabletop decor, such as decorative trays, jars, and bowls. John's Gifts and Furniture since 1982.
Okay, my guest on Under Construction this week is Adrienne Copeland. She's the president of Historic Preservation Rocky Mount. Is newer better, always better?
Well, that's what our culture's taught. Right, newer is better, but that's not the case. It sometimes it can, but most of the time, newer isn't always better. What we have to understand is that's a corporate business model. Okay,
right?
If they can't sell you the same thing again and again if it lasts forever.
Yes.
So that's really been a shift, and so we're all just in this throwaway culture, right? So we just believe that it's old, you throw it away, you get a new one.
Yes.
That's what makes companies money. It's a fantastic business model,
right?
But it really is terrible for preservation because we end up destroying things unknowingly. We don't realize it. Right. A lot of people have come to me and said, "Oh, well, I had to throw out the windows because they were already too far gone." Right. And like we said, there is nothing that is too far gone. There's, you're really only limited by your budget, and so. But even then, there are things that can be done. There are repairs that can be made. So we repair things, and that's that's the way old houses were built. They were built to be repaired. They were built to be maintained.
Right.
So because you built something, and in our culture, it's like everything should be maintenance free, But what they don't tell you is maintenance free means it can't be maintained. It's designed into a way that you must throw it out and buy a new one. So that's
You're
a little
so
hiccup.
Right on
That's
that.
the hiccup with maintenance free. So when I hear that, I go, oh, that means it's designed to fail. At some point, you're going to be buying a new one,
Yes.
So we go around, and I say a lot, man, you can't have anything nice because it always breaks, and you got to get a new one.
Yes. Well, it's like appliances. I say all the time, new appliances are not
They are
anything like
terrible.
old ones.
And you're lucky to get 5 years out of them.
Yes, you are. And
anything can happen, and they make them so you can't, or if you even try, you voided any warranty, they're not fixing it. They want you to get a whole new one.
Houses can be the same way.
They are, yes, the new houses are like that. They have about a 20-year lifespan, and then everything's going wrong.
Well, you
with
see
them.
how fast they throw them up.
That's the thing. Everything's cheaply made. Everything
Yes.
is made cheap and fast, and just to appeal to a mass market and sell and be gone. And then nobody's looking back, and nobody cares. They're just like, oh, you just buy another one, right?
Yes.
Old houses were different. They were built to last. There was pride and workmanship. So you had, I call it like Grandpa built it to last.
Right.
And if you've ever done any slight bit of demo on an old house, you will spend all day. It was built to hold up. And that's why when you see houses that are about to crumble down, it's been neglected for 20 or 40 years to get to that point.
Right.
So people say, I'm scared of an old house. Like if you can save it and do the maintenance on it, it will last.
Right.
And it's also a shift in what you've got. So most people say windows, you put them in, you don't think about them and whatever, and they should be easy to open up. But if you don't maintain the old wood windows, they're going to get out of alignment. They're going to get hard.
Sure.
And people don't understand the way they used to work. They said, there was these weird ropes, and I hear stuff. That's the way they were supposed to operate.
Right.
They were counterbalanced. So they had ropes going up, and inside the wall there's weights so that the weight would go down as the window went up. It went like this. And so you've got to keep that paint free. You can't paint it closed.
Right.
You can only weather strip it to a certain amount. And then we'll say, oh, my energy efficiency. You put a storm window on there. And then people say, oh, well, the new storm windows are better than the older ones. And I say, well, really, if you look at the science of it, the new windows have an air gap about just 1/8 of an inch, right? That's what stops the energy transfer is the air gap. Well, on a storm window, you might have 4 inches of air gap, And so, that storm window might fail because it's wood. It's sacrificial. It was designed to, that's the part that rots away because it's the easiest to put back.
Right.
So understanding how your old house was supposed to work and designed to work is a completely different animal. So if you try to put newer materials and newer science and technology in an older building, you're going to cause more problems.
Right.
That old wood window is a little leaky and drafty. Why? The whole house was designed to be that way. It was designed for light and air to move. That's how it dries itself out. So if you try to seal it all up, you're going to have nothing but moisture problems. And I bet you do. And we've seen a lot of, this is a lesson that was learned in the 70s. We had that energy crisis. Everything was about that. So everybody was plasticking and sealing up everything in old houses.
Yes.
And it caused so many of them to rot and fail.
Wow.
It's same thing with bricks. Let's say you've got old bricks. I'm talking over 80 years old. They're made differently. They're softer bricks. The mortar was much softer. I had a higher lime content in there. Nowadays, they'll tell you, oh, Portland cement is a mixture in mortar, and it's so hard. It's great.
Right.
For newer bricks. The older bricks were softer. And so if you put the super hard new mortar that you buy at Lowe's in with your old bricks, it pulverizes the old bricks because everything used to swell and contract with the moisture and with the heat all together. Well, now you've got this soft brick swelling against this hard mortar that doesn't move, and the brick literally crushes itself. So if you see old wall, you'll see it down in the evidence in the basement of Stonewall. This is a mistake they made back in the 70s. They're trying to fix it. You see it around the wall of Mac Haven. These older bricks, they're crumbling. It's because they were repaired and people didn't know. They didn't know at the time, but so that's a lot. You have to treat everything completely different.
Right.
I say, don't trust anybody who's at Lowe's or anybody in new construction because they don't understand. And here's another pro tip. If you're quoting some work out to be done in an old house and somebody comes in, you need to tell them they have to triple it because they have no idea how hard it's going to be. Because they're going to say, I've never run into this. They're expecting straight walls. They're expecting, drywall, not plaster, and understanding the differences, So the long story short about that is you have to think it's a completely different species of house.
Right.
You can't think of it the same. And like I said, nothing's too far gone. Do not tear anything out. Wait, research it. You probably can leave it and save yourself a lot more money if you just know how to fix it and repair it properly. So plaster walls,
good advice.
Don't tear them. Plaster is superior to drywall. It can get wet and then dry out on its own, not like drywall. You have to throw it out.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
You definitely have to throw it out.
You have to throw it out. Same thing with all those windows. You can repair them, all the old stuff. So that's what I would say is treat it like a completely different species. And if someone comes and says, that's not how it does, nobody does it like that anymore, then either they don't know how to do it or they don't want to do it and find somebody else.
You have been very encouraging to people that love old homes, but just say, there's nothing I can do. Well, you're very encouraging to these people.
It can be scary. I mean, you're even with a newer home, it's a lot of money. It can be really scary to not know what to do. So the best thing is to go slow, educate yourself, and literally do not throw anything out. I had a door in one of my houses that was it was just older and it was warping and it wasn't closing properly. But it closed properly, but it didn't match with the paint and everything. And so at the time I was still learning, and we were just going to replace the whole door. But then when we stood to the side and looked, it was like the whole door kind of warped like this with the house.
Yes.
And it's like, you will never find a new door that fits that. You will never. So leave the warped door. It has moved with the house. It's a part of the house. It works. It just wasn't the color and the pattern we wanted.
Right.
So, okay, keep it. And, and in the end, we're like, what? It's a closet door. Nobody cares. It's fun, but it's part of that house. So you could cause a world of problems for yourself if you try to replace everything you don't realize.
Tell us real quick about your salvage store.
Well, it's on 910 Falls Road. And what we do is we salvage homes that are too far gone. Someone else has decided they're too far gone and they're going to fall down. And we take out everything that we can save: sinks, doors, windows, flooring, molding, light fixtures. So you can go and repurpose this. That one or more, they don't end up in the landfill. Like I said, the workmanship, they're built better than any sink made today. They're going to last a lifetime. They already have. They just need to be cleaned up and repaired. And so we're by appointment only. So you just email us. You can go on our website and you can find us. You can email us. We're at preservationrockymount.org. But if you want an appointment, then what you do is you send us an email. It's info@preservationrockymount.org. And you can set up an appointment to come check us out. So actually the tobacco warehouse that we're fixing up, we're going to move our storage of all this stuff into there. And that's going to be a giant architectural salvage warehouse. And we get a lot of people we get calls from people and emails from people in like California. Looking for things, looking for stuff. And most of the time it's people in these new sheetrock boxes that like, I just need some life, some character in my house. I need something. And they're coming to buy things. Yeah. So that's another indication that we don't realize how much we're missing this in our lives. And we need this.
And people can donate.
They can donate. Yes, we take donations. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. We're all volunteer. Nobody gets paid. We're all doing this because we love it. So you can go on our website and click donate now. You can become a member, or every year you can pledge a donation, or you can even do monthly. And we take credit cards. We take all the ways. And so that when you do that, you are directly given back to the historic resources in your community, because that's where we work. We are Preservation Rocky Mount, and that's it. So you can be rest assured that we are saving the memories, the culture, the history of here in Rocky Mount for our later generations.
Absolutely. Thank you, Adrienne, for being with us. This has been just such great information that you have imparted here today. So anyway, watch us Thursday nights, 7:30 every week right here on WHIG TV.